Hi, and welcome to another edition of BadgerBeat, our weekly series that previews UW football. This week, got Indiana coming into Camp Randall Stadium Saturday at 11 a.m. Let's talk about the main theme around this Indiana game that's emerged, the reverb off of the 83-point extravaganza that the Badgers put up last year. What's the fallout from that, positive or negative?
Well, I'll admit I was critical immediately after when it happened, and I still got some reservations about them scoring 83 points against anybody. But I believe in the long term it's been beneficial. You know, the number of times that 83 points was referenced going into the Rose Bowl last year, and I think it still is being referenced, and I think it casts Wisconsin in a different light. And I think, as Brett Bielema mentioned today, it wasn't so much the 83 itself, but the fact that Wisconsin and their style of offense could reach 83. But, I guess I've had a little change of heart. I'm still not crazy about anybody rolling up that many points, but I do think probably it's benefited this team in the long run.
Badgers a 39-point favorite this weekend. You were mentioning, Andy, that Kevin Wilson is one of the few offensive-minded coaches in the Big Ten. I'm sure he wouldn't appreciate getting 83 put on him, but talk to me a little bit about what his perspective might be.
His perspective, I think he can appreciate it because he was the offensive coordinator at Oklahoma when Sam Bradford was the quarterback. They laid 60 on a lot of people, and I think if there's any coach in the Big Ten that can appreciate style points and what you have to do to get up there in the BCS rankings, he can because of his status at Oklahoma. So I think he comes in here with a probably a greater sense of appreciation for what Wisconsin did a year ago to Indiana than any other opposing coach might at this point.
Badgers have had a while off since this Nebraska game. A lot of people sitting back and starting to talk about Wisconsin as a national title contender. This is the thing you're a little bit worried of as a coach, and I know that Brett Bielema has tried to address it, but there's still a pitfall there, a potential pitfall, isn't there?
Yeah, I mean, they've been patted on the back for a week now following the Nebraska game, but I do think that was possibly a role that the bye played last week, and Bielema called it being humblers, that the coaches can be humblers with these players, and I think some of that probably went on in practice last week. I think the coaches have liked the focus of these players. They've handled everything that's been thrown at them so far, and this is another thing, is dealing with the success, and it comes with it, and we'll see how they handle that.
The first BCS rankings come out following this Indiana game. Andy, what do you expect to see out of those rankings, where the Badgers are at, and how does that play into how they approach games like in Indiana where they're a 39-point favorite?
Well, we're going to be looking at a lot of different equations. I would be surprised if Wisconsin's in the top 5 for the simple fact that its schedule strength is in the hundreds. That's going to hurt them a lot. But in terms of voting, Wisconsin's consistently among the top 5. But right now, you look at Oklahoma, you look at LSU, you look at Alabama as teams that are clearly ahead of them in the perception of voters and the perception of a lot of the computer rankings. So Wisconsin, barring any upsets, Wisconsin will still be in the conversation. But as far as the BCS rankings go, Wisconsin would be outside of the national championship picture, which will create, I would think, a lot of debate here down the stretch.
Thanks for joining us again this week. Look for coverage all week on madison.com and join us for the wrap after Saturday's game.